Welcome back to a new episode of The Big Three, the monthly podcast where we unpack the biggest trends, insights, and stories shaping influencer marketing and the creator economy. I'm your host, Ceci Carloni, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Ahene, founder of Net Influencer. Ni, how are you doing this month?
Doing pretty well, doing pretty well. We have the July 4th holiday coming up here in the States, so looking forward to that. But things are good. Things are great.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah, same here. The winter holidays are next week. And yeah, I'm not a winter fan, but it's a sunny day outside and I can't complain. And I'm ready to dive in. I'm actually very excited for today's lineup. I think this month's stories feel like a real snapshot of where the industry is headed, from money to media to global brand moves. So I'm ready to dive in.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's start with Forbes. They just dropped its 2025 top 50 creators list, and the combined earnings are over 850 million. Sorry, that's just between April last year and this April, and it's up more than 20% year over year. MrBeast alone brought in $82 million. Their top earners are Ceci, Logan Paul, Kaby Lame, Kai Cenat, Charlie D'Amelio, and Emma Chamberlain, all crossing $20 million. But I feel like this year is not just about the earnings. What really stood out is how creators are making their money. The data shows that creators are increasingly diversifying their revenue streams beyond platform monetization. And honestly, anyone within the industry knows this. Like Alex Cooper moving her podcast Color Daddy from Spotify to SiriusXM and launching Unwell Hydration, or even comedian Matt Rife leveraging social media growth to sell more than 100,000 seats to live shows. I think moves like this show how creators are thinking beyond content and investors are paying attention. They're investing directly in creator-owned brands and startups, not just the platforms they post on. Eric Sheridan from Goldman Sachs told Forbes, the private founding environment for creators is as strong as I ever seen. So I want to hear your thoughts on Disney. Do you think investors are finally starting to take creators seriously, not just as talents, but founders?
To an extent, I don't think it's as mainstream as everybody is saying. Just got back from VidCon, and yeah, definitely at the top end when you're thinking about like a KSI or Logan Paul with Prime or the Chamberlain Coffee with Emma Chamberlain or MrBeast with Feastables. There definitely is an opportunity for investors to get involved in those CPG products. But when I think about the creator economy, I think about the long tail, right? The person that has 1 million followers or 100,000 followers or 50,000 followers. And in that regard, not every creator is ready to kind of take it to the next level and become an enterprise. These individuals oftentimes are artists, they are storytellers. And so, yes, it's great to see that at the very, very, very top at the end, we're starting to get more legitimacy for these creators that are kind of producing products and not just brand deals and not just talent. But when I think about the wider creator economy, that's really where there's a groundswell, and that's where I'm the most excited. And so it's great to see kind of these folks making the big bucks, eight figures in revenue. But the real opportunity in creator economies are on the long tail. So that's what I'm excited about. And I think as the industry continues to evolve, if we see more wins kind of at that long tail, that's what's really going to be exciting for investors in terms of bringing a whole new asset class to investors to invest in.
Yeah, I think that was my take on the list too, and on the data on the list. I mean, we know that these creators aren't just influencers anymore. I know they're more like entrepreneurs with massive audiences. But my next question was related to what you were just saying. Does this model only work for the one top percent or are smaller creators able to build something similar at a smaller scale?
I think with smaller creators shouldn't work with investors, need to focus on figuring out how they can build a community around their content. And so if I'm a travel influencer and all I do is review hotels, what's the opportunity for me to create some sort of partnership with hotels to give my subscribers or followers a discount if somebody, a particular hotel gets my seal of approval. And so thinking about things at a smaller scale without the involvement of investors probably makes the most sense, and it needs to be congruent to who the creator is. And so, yeah, at a smaller scale, but definitely it's not at investment scale for most creators.
Okay. Would you like to see smaller creators next year on this list?
I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to continue to see this list dominated by the names that we're seeing currently. What I'll be excited about is seeing what are the new names that break into over $20 million in revenue. That's always exciting to see. Okay, great. This
Absolutely.
person is the breakout creator, and so we don't really have a breakout creator of 2025, and so that's really where I'm excited to see is who's going to be the name that jumps up onto this list.
Absolutely. Next up, we are going to talk about Olipop, YouTube, and sports creators. We know younger audiences don't really watch sports the way older generations did. They're watching athletes and creators on YouTube. According to YouTube CEO Neil Mohan's content on the platform grew 45% last year and hit 35 billion hours of viewership. Behind that growth is obviously the rise of athlete-driven storytelling, creator-led formats, and fan communities. And I think Olipop is realizing that, and that's exactly why they partnered with Shanked, a scripted, creator-led comedy series on YouTube that knows exactly who it's talking to. Olipop shows across all episodes, in the clubhouse fridge, on the beverage cart, and even in a fourth wall moment where the characters joke about how invisible the product is. James Lynch, the show's co-creator and star, told Forbes, Olipop is baked into the world, the jokes, and the show's culture. And Olipop's strategic partnership director put it simply, our product fits where the culture is going. So I think the idea here is to meet fans where they already are in content that feels fun and natural. And Olipop says it's helped drive awareness and actual sales. So I want to hear it from you, Nee. Do you think this partnership like this are less about marketing and more about brands trying to earn a seat at the culture table?
Well, it's definitely still about marketing, right? Whether it's kind of a product placement or kind of a straight out endorsement, it's always about marketing, right? The Olipop wouldn't be doing this if they didn't think they could sell more cans of Olipop, a prebiotic soda. That wasn't a product placement, by the way. But with that said, it's interesting that they decided to partner with Shanked. I really didn't even know about Shanked until I heard about this story. And they have over 1.1 million followers from Vice Sports on YouTube. And so here's an example of a scripted piece of content that is being promoted by a traditional media brand, but it's digital first and digital native. And so the fact that Olipop is, working with those writers and showrunners to get the product kind of weaved into the story, and the fact that this particular property has 1.1 million followers specifically on around golf, yeah, it's a great placement. Because clearly this thing has caught the zeitgeist. It's rare you see kind of a scripted piece of content from a legacy media player that's actually kind of winning. And so, yeah, super exciting to see that this is kind of something that Vice Sports has teamed up with Olipop to do, and super excited to see where it goes.
Do you think that this kind of partnerships takes way more time and budget? I mean, do you think this will only work for well-founded brands like Olipop?
I mean, I think it depends on the scale, right? And so, the fact that Vice Sports is a traditional media company, they have this scripted series. It looks like there's just three of them, three episodes they've done so far. Yeah, they had to come in early and they had to kind of plan this out and they had to figure this out. And, scripted series in long form format, which is what Shanked is, they're not very, very common to be YouTube native. And so that took a lot of working. But, one of the big themes we heard from VidCon is short scripted series or vertical video scripted series. And so I think that as those start to proliferate, we're definitely going to see a lot more brands thinking about, if this is something that this is part of the zeitgeist that people like, how can we get our brand involved in that? And so, yeah, it takes time, but so do influencers and so does working with UGC. Nothing just kind of shows up overnight. And so it's just a different way of thinking about interesting. If this is something that we want to be in front of, who do we need to talk to ensure that we have a natural integration with the particular product or piece of content?
Yeah. Nee, you just mentioned vertical content, and I think I have this next question is more maybe out of curiosity. Do you think this kind of partnership will also work on platforms like TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big consumer of the vertical drama series. I know these things are blowing up, and I probably need to spend more time to understand kind of the dynamics of it. But at the end of the day, right, if it's they're probably not going to have a storyline around Olipop, but if the character happens to be drinking an Olipop or exposing Olipop in, the 20 to 30 seconds of that clip or that soap opera, yeah, that's not hard to believe that brands can make that jump and these brand integrations can happen that way. So I don't see any reason why it couldn't be successful. Obviously, it's not going to be the center of the script, but it can be an easy product placement to kind of increase brand recall. So, yeah, I absolutely see this being something that, especially as that genre continues to take off, I could definitely see brand integrations working that way.
Okay. Me up next. I'm really excited about this one. I think it's an exciting job offer from Starbucks. They announced, as part of their Starbucks Global Ambassador Program, that they are hiring two global coffee creators, one from inside the company and one from the public, to spend a year traveling to up to 15 Starbucks locations around the world, from Tokyo and Milan to their coffee farm in Costa Rica, and document the whole thing on social media. This is a full-time role, pays between $80 and $136,000, come with benefits, paid travel, and doesn't require any college degree or professional experience. You just need a passport, a solid TikTok page, and the willingness to post your way through a year of coffee content. As Starbucks says, the goal is to showcase the care and craft that goes into every cup and spotlight the global community around the brand. The job runs from August 2025 through July 2026. The applications are already closed. They closed on June 13, but I think it says a lot about how Starbucks sees creators. If you told me 5 years ago I could make a six figures salary to drink coffee and post on TikTok, I would apply on the spot. But I do want to ask you, Nee, do you think this is just flashy PR, or is it a smart way for Starbucks to go, to build global brand love through creators?
Well, I'm gonna cop out and say it's both. Obviously, we're talking about it. This particular job got a lot of headlines, and it's an exciting job. So Starbucks already won on the fact that you had a lot of different publications talking about this interesting role, and it kind of can further legitimize just the creator economy. But the flip side is, yeah, if they're really serious about finding these individuals that are good content creators that can do storytelling, for a whole year, we're going to have, I think there's two people that are hiring for this role. You're going to have two creators that are going through the Starbucks supply chain, talking to these farmers, talking to baristas internationally. And yeah, I think it's a great way of kind of connecting with community in a very organic way. And, if it's just cost, the cost of a full-time marketing employee plus travel for Starbucks to do it, and they can get engagement and these content creators or can create content that's compelling. Yeah, I think they can get a ton of EMV or brand value from this. And so I love it. And now there are people who love Starbucks. They're going to definitely be pumping this content and following this content. So I think this is a great way of kind of thinking about how you can tell your brand story through the lens of somebody outside of your business while still ensuring that they're talking about things related to your business. Because Starbucks obviously is not going to have them go to Pete's Coffee or a competitor. They're going to go to Starbucks locations and talk to
Yeah.
Starbucks farmers and everything. So I think this is brilliant, and I'm super excited to see the content once it starts rolling. We'll definitely have a follow up here on the website and on our social media platform.
Yeah, and I think this also touches on EGC, because one of they are opening two spots, but one is for current employees.
Got it.
So
Got it. I
I'm
mean, yeah, which
curious.
makes which makes sense, right? Because like the Starbucks baristas, they really know their stuff, right? And that's part of the ethos of Starbucks. It's like you go to a Starbucks, you're gonna have somebody behind the desk that really understands the coffee beans. And so you're gonna have one person that understands coffee, you're gonna have another person that's just coming in from the news side that can maybe do social media. So yeah, they've set this up the right way. We'll see how corporate it feels, right? If we're watching it and it feels like a PR sizzle reel, we'll be able to tell. So I'm going to be very curious on how authentic these creators are going to be behind the camera, how much freedom and editorial oversight they have around putting out the story they want to put out versus how much of it is going to be like, okay, it's really just Starbucks PR, using these platforms and these individuals to get the story out. So, it sounds like if the job runs from August 2025, we should start seeing content at the end of the summer. And yeah, we'll definitely see where they are on that spectrum.
Yeah, Nia, and beyond this campaign and beyond Starbucks, do you think we'll start to see more brands creating full-time content roles like this one instead of just hiring creators per campaign?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised we haven't heard this more. I mean, obviously the Starbucks role, because it was a whole year, got a lot of press, but we do have creators that get embedded within different organizations. We definitely have creator-led organizations that are
Yeah.
covering media. I'm a big F1 fan. Every race, there's a bunch of different creators of, whether they're press creators or they're F1 creators that are kind of on site. So yeah, I definitely see with brands that have a huge kind of public face that this is something that they can do to help connect the brand story through the lens of an individual versus kind of that corporate lens. And so yeah, this is probably the start of a trend that's going to continue to snowball over the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Nate, that was the last story. But before we close, I'm curious if you could go to any Starbucks location in the world, where are you flying to?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to have done a ton of travel, and I try to do local coffee when I travel to places, but I know there's a Starbucks roastery I've been to the one, I've been to the headquarters in Seattle, and I've been to the roastery in downtown Seattle, but I know there's a roastery in Japan, in Tokyo, so I'd be very excited to go to the roastery there because, yeah, I love Japan, and yeah, to see what they do different there compared to the Seattle ones and the New York ones I've been to would be very, very interesting. What about you, Ceci?
I don't know. I gave it a thought, to be honest. I don't know. I guess I will say somewhere warm to get away of this freezing weather, but I'm not sure yet. Maybe somewhere like Mexico or even Italy. I really want to visit Italy, so I guess that will be my option. Well, Nate, that wraps up this episode of Influence Weekly. Thanks for tuning in and exploring the latest stories with us. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next in influencer marketing and the creator economy. Until next time, I'm Ceci. Talk soon. Bye, Nate.
Thank you.